Good morning, you are watching A News. I'm Bakhtiar Asanov and let's see the headlines. US President Donald Trump has reimposed sanctions on International Criminal Court officials investigating US citizens and Israeli leaders. Countries staying committed to climate plans after US Paris Pact exit, United Nations climate chief says. Greece's authorities have declared a state of emergency on Santorini after a series of earthquakes. More than 11,000 people have already left the island. US President Donald Trump is sanctioning the International Criminal Court, saying it's illegitimate. The executive order will target individuals and families who assist in ICC investigations into American civilians and its allies.
U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed sanctions on the International Criminal Court. He's targeting people who work on ICC investigations of U.S. citizens or U.S. allies. The move coincides with a recent visit to Washington by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He, along with his former defense minister and 3 leaders of Hamas, are wanted by the ICC over the war in the Gaza Strip.
The decision to issue an arrest warrant against me, the democratically elected Prime Minister of the State of Israel, and our former defense minister, was made by a rogue prosecutor who's trying to extricate himself from sexual harassment charges, and by biased judges who are motivated by anti-Semitic sentiments.
As well as Prime Minister Netanyahu, Russian President Vladimir Putin has also been issued with an arrest warrant. But how likely will they be arrested?
The truth is that only with a change of government, and a pretty radical change of government in both those states, would you get into a situation where Netanyahu or Putin was arrested and surrendered to the ICC. But these things do happen. A week can be a long time in politics, and one can go from being a respected statesperson to being a war criminal.
The 125-member ICC is a permanent court that can prosecute individuals for war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and the crime of aggression against the territory of member states or by their nationals. The United States, China, Russia, and Israel are not members.
US President Donald Trump's plan to take over Gaza to rebuild it remains a major topic of discussion in Washington. Our correspondent Ubi Schbander has more on the latest in this report.
President Trump's announcement earlier in the week on the Gaza Strip and his desire for the U.S. to take ownership of rebuilding the destroyed region remains a top headline here in Washington. President Trump made that announcement with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu standing by his side on Tuesday in front of American and international media. The president and his team have since provided some clarification on what he meant. In a social media post earlier today, the president said that no American soldiers would be deployed into Gaza, and that the United States, working alongside development teams from around the world, would slowly and carefully begin construction of what the president called, quote, the most spectacular developments on earth. President Trump wants action. That's what one of his senior administration officials told the media here in Washington. Trump's advisors have said that the president has been talking about relocation and rebuilding in Gaza for weeks, and that he wants a bold action in place that would enable Palestinians in Gaza to live in safety and prosperity. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has said that the Israeli government currently has no additional details regarding President Trump's plan on Gaza. And according to reports, President Trump was heavily influenced by his Middle East advisor, Steve Witkoff, who had recently returned from touring a totally devastated Gaza. Some Arab officials have, however, expressed concerns regarding the viability of the Gaza plan. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Jordan's King Abdullah will be visiting Washington in the coming weeks, where Gaza will undoubtedly be high on the agenda on the topics of discussion with President Trump. Trump officials have been quick to underscore that the announcement made by the president was not meant as a hostile move against the Palestinian people. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz have said that a temporary relocation of Gaza's inhabitants will be necessary due to the thousands of unexploded bombs and unsanitary conditions of destroyed infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. One senior advisor to the president told the Washington Press that, quote, Trump is a builder. What he wants is a negotiation for peace. So everything is on the table. Amubi Shabander here in Washington reporting for A News.
A fierce winter storm hit the Gaza Strip overnight. Despite the damage, residents remain determined to stay, following U.S. President Donald Trump's controversial announcement on their future.
A powerful storm struck Gaza, unleashing heavy rain and widespread flooding that destroyed tents sheltering displaced families in the early hours of Thursday. Many residents struggled to cope with the extreme conditions.
There was a storm last night and people are staying under the rubble, under destroyed houses and inside tents. The children were dying of cold and we haven't slept all night from the winter, the cold and the rain. Rain entered inside tents. We haven't slept at all.
While U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement has raised uncertainty, Gazans are determined to stay despite the challenges.
We are steadfast in our land. They destroyed our houses and killed our children, but we are steadfast. We are saying this so the Palestinians would be aware. Don't say I want to emigrate. You are here till the end of days. Stay in a tent next to your house, and God willing, things will be solved soon.
In the aftermath of the storm, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the army to prepare for the voluntary departure of Gaza residents. However, the situation remains tense in Gaza as hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians return to their heavily damaged homes.
U.S. Marines have installed barbed wire along the border wall near Tijuana on Thursday, reinforcing security under President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. A 30-member U.S. Marine crew secured razor wire to the outermost fence facing Mexico. The Marines say they were working together with the Department of Homeland Security on installing barriers to increase security that will decrease illegal border crossings. Meanwhile, Mexican National Guard troops set up vehicle checkpoints at the Yan Cedro crossing. The move comes after Donald Trump postponed 25% tariffs in exchange for Mexico deploying 10,000 troops. Security has tightened on both sides, with U.S. forces reinforcing barriers and Mexican authorities increasing inspections. The first batch of French Mirage 2000 fighter jets arrived in Ukraine on Thursday, according to French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu. These single-engine fighter planes will assist in defending Ukraine's airspace from Russian missile and aircraft attacks. Although initially Ukraine had favored acquiring a larger number of US-made F-16s, the Mirage 2000s had been planned for delivery for years. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the arrival of the French jets, alongside F-16s from the Netherlands. It's part of a broader effort by European allies to bolster Ukraine's defense amid the ongoing war with Russia. Russia's defense ministry says it's conducting stealth drills with its Yars intercontinental ballistic missiles in the Volga region. The nuclear missiles, which can be moved on trucks or deployed in silos, are a key part of Russia's defense strategy. The ministry says the missiles are camouflaged and moving up to 100 kilometers on combat patrol routes. Similar drills were held last year as a warning to the West. Azerbaijan has officially ordered the closure of the Russian Information and Cultural Center known as the Russian House, which operates under the Russian agency Rossoturnичество. According to the Azerbaijani Foreign Ministry, the decision was made after authorities found the center was not legally registered and had repeatedly violated national laws. A diplomatic note was sent to Russia on February the 3rd, formally terminating its activities. The move follows Azerbaijan's recent decision to suspend the USAID operations. Greece has declared a state of emergency for the island of Santorini. It's after the ongoing seismic activity in the southern Aegean Sea since February the 1st. The Greece's Ministry of Climate Crisis and Civil Protection announced that the state of emergency in Santorini will remain in place until March 3rd. Seismic activity continues in the sea area between Santorini and Amorgos, maintaining the same frequency as recent days. Several areas of Santorini have been cordoned off due to the risk of landslides. A team of engineers from Athens has arrived on the island to assess public buildings and schools. Army, fire service and police units have also been deployed to the island. Greece is one of Europe's most earthquake-prone countries, but seismologists have said the high level of activity is unprecedented and may last weeks or months. The experts say the tremors are unrelated to volcanic activity in the Aegean Sea, but are unable to say whether they could lead up to a more powerful earthquake. Santorini was formed in its current shape following one of the largest volcanic eruptions in history in around 1600 BC. As the United States moves to leave the Paris Climate Agreement, the United Nations Climate Chief Simon Stiell urged countries to strengthen their climate commitments and accelerate efforts toward clean energy. He made the comment in his first speech of the year in Brazil on Thursday.
The United Nations is urging countries to strengthen their climate plans despite the US's decision to withdraw from the Paris Agreement. In a speech in Brazil on Thursday, UN Climate Chief Simon Stiell said that other countries are stepping up to lead the clean energy transition. He says there are opportunities for green investments to create jobs and reduce pollution.
A country may step back, but others are already stepping into their place to seize that opportunity and to reap the massive rewards: stronger economic growth, more jobs, less pollution and far lower health costs, and more secure and affordable energy.
Stiell says the finance agreement at the last COP29 in November in Baku is the first hurdle, but says it's just the beginning and that work towards reducing pollution must continue.
The new global climate finance goal we agreed in Baku was an important step forward. It will clearly not initially meet every need, but $300 billion is a baseline, not an end line.
Stiell says that not all the commitments have been met and calls upon leaders to focus on tangible results rather than speeches. At COP29, it was agreed to financially support countries hit hard by the impact of climate change by 2035. US President Donald Trump says the Paris Climate Agreement doesn't align with US values. He claims it unfairly redirects taxpayers' money to countries that don't need financial aid. He says the US should focus on its own success in balancing economic and environmental goals, serving as a model for other nations.
This year continues record heat, with 18 of the last 19 months over 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. 2025 is expected to be the third warmest year, with sea surface temperatures close to record highs.
The world is facing record-breaking heat and extreme weather, with January 2025 marking the warmest January on record. Experts highlight that temperatures were 1.75 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average for the month.
For January 2025, we found that January was the warmest January globally, with a temperature of 1.75 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average. And this is not only the warmest January on record, but it's also the 18th month in the last 19-month period where global air surface temperatures have been more than 1.5 degrees above that pre-industrial average.
From heat waves in South America to deadly wildfires in California, the effects of climate change are becoming more visible every day.
So by far and away, the largest contributing factor to our warming climate is the burning of fossil fuels. So the increase in greenhouse gas concentrations in our atmosphere, and any natural cycle or other natural variabilities such as our sun cycle or volcanoes, they have a very small influence of the climate that normally has quite a short-lived signal as well.
With the global temperatures rising and extreme weather events intensifying, experts are sounding the alarm about the urgent need for action to fight climate change.
Bogota's streets emptied of private cars and motorbikes as the city marked Car-Free Day, an annual effort to reduce pollution and promote alternative transport. Authorities expect lower air and noise pollution levels, while many residents called for more frequent events.
The sound of car horns and traffic gave way to the hum of bicycles and pedestrians filling the streets. In Bogota, Colombia, private vehicles were banned for the day. Only public transport, emergency services and a few authorized vehicles allowed. Residents turned to bicycles, scooters and buses as the city promoted alternative transport.
This is excellent. The best thing that has been done in this country for a long time has been to have a day dedicated to the environment, to decontaminate a bit, to look at us, cyclists. I mean, for me, this is a success, a complete success. I always applaud that they do it. Hopefully it can be done more often.
Officials said the event aimed to cut air pollution, expecting a drop in harmful fine particles.
Today we are expecting reductions in fine particles 2.5, which are the one affecting human health the most. We are also expecting significant reductions in noise. We have a shocking figure: 89% of the city's noise comes from transportation sources, so on the car-free and motorbike-free day, we are hoping that the noise will be mitigated for the well-being of all citizens.
Noise pollution was also a focus, with authorities noting that nearly 90% of city noise comes from transport. Many residents welcomed the initiative. Cyclists and electric bike users called for more car-free days, saying it improves air quality in urban life.
Personally, so far, it has worked really well. Let's say in terms of noise, it has been great because it has improved a lot. Comfort for pedestrians, for cyclists, for those of us on scooters, it works well. Honestly, I have liked it a lot. I see that it is an initiative that works for the city, that gives the city a break.
Some commuters highlighted the ease of movement and the quieter city. Authorities say the event supports long-term climate goals and sustainable mobility.
A 12-foot bronze statue of Cristiano Ronaldo, created by artist Sergio Fornari, was unveiled in Times Square to celebrate the soccer star's 40th birthday.
Fans gathered in Times Square to honor Cristiano Ronaldo with the unveiling of a 12-foot bronze statue, celebrating the soccer star's global influence and career.
I think he's the best player of the world, and nobody can play like him. The way he plays, Europe, Spain, anywhere he goes, he plays the same. Now in Al Nassr, he's the #1 too. So that's the best to me in the world, Ronaldo.
The celebration was met with excitement from fans who consider Ronaldo not only a great player, but a role model. For many, the statue represents not just Ronaldo's achievement, but the values he stands for.
It's not only because he's a great player, because he did something very fantastic, but it's more because he is like a role model. So he's kind, his work ethic, his values. So it's something that I want for me, and also I am teaching to my daughter.
As the statue starts its global tour, Ronaldo's legacy keeps inspiring fans all over the world, both on and off the field.
We are done for now, but don't go far. Stay tuned for more and have a wonderful morning.